Hi there, it's Judith Briles and the author your guide to book publishing podcast for I don't know what time, how many times. I do know there's 22 million downloads over its history. But with that said, um, I'm kind of thinking of this in this Firehorse year. We do have to be bold. It is bold. It's about being bold. It's about changes. It's about things. And one of the things that's really important is we need to sometimes go back and look at some basics as well to see what they need to be fine-tuned, tweaked, wherever they go. So as we kick off this show, I have someone who's been here many times before, not recently, so long overdue. But I always like to lead with a quote from my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty, Success for Authors and Writers. And it's really simple. Persistence and perseverance. Writers and authors live these two words as they reach for success. And now we're going to add in the third P. So we have persistence, perseverance, and now we're going to talk about publicity and that promotion and bringing it out. So we're going to get into that. And with that said, we have the amazing, awesome Joan Stewart back with us. And Joan, many of you know her as the Publicity Hound. She has changed her hat, and she has taught more than, can you believe, 50,000 authors, 50,000 authors, publishers, business owners, just like you who are listening and watching today, use free publicity to promote their expertise. So we're talking about freebie stuff today. Her consulting clients have used her advice to get into the Today Show, the front page of the Wall Street Journal. She's written more than 10 ebooks. She's been quoted in more than 60 books. She's been featured on an upcoming show, The American Entrepreneur, which is a documentary launched in early 2026 by Real Mountain Pictures, and it features star Tom Antion, who will be with us at another show later on in the season. Today, she's enjoying the benefits of full retirement, and she's an avid needlepointer, loves to walk, swim, garden, and do volunteer works. And if you ask her what she does in her spare time, Instagram videos might count. So she's whipping up low-carb recipes, and she's working her way through the reruns of The Waltons and Little House on the Prairie. So we have to ask her about that. But with that said, Joan, hey, welcome back to the show.
Judith, it is fantastic to be back here with you after I don't know how many years. Great to see you again, and everybody who's listening to this.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get into, Joan says, there's 6 key areas that I wanted to get into. And I know we've done shows we've done workshops, we've done webinars, we've done podcasts on the power of press releases. And I'm going to go ahead and kick off with that because I think today they're probably more important than it really at any one time, that what you can do, and you can get them out there free. And yes, you can pay fees for them and get them out. So Joan, let's kind of go there. What's kind of old, what's new, what's blue?
Okay. Well, Judith, back in the old days, and you probably heard this too, we heard the press release is dead. The press release is dead. And the press release absolutely is not dead. What is dead are boring, poorly written press releases that are nothing but a free commercial for the person who's writing them. And the other thing we have to remember is that we're not writing press releases anymore only for the traditional media. We're mostly writing them for our target markets. And we're going to talk about target marketing in a little bit. But the press releases, they no longer have to be really short. That's how we wrote them in the old days, really short, because newspapers couldn't fit long press releases in. They didn't want to write long stories. Today, your news releases are online. By the way, news release, a press release, and a PR release, those are all the same thing. People just call them by different names. They can help promote you, yes. And remember that you are the media. You are your own media outlet, and you can publish as many of these as you want to. In the old days, it used to be, oh, don't publish more than no more than one every couple months, you can publish as many as you want to, because the traditional media now has been joined by millions of bloggers and podcasters and video creators and content creators. And you want to be able to reach as many of these people as you can who are consumed by your target market. So let's talk about press releases. Your target market could be, for a press release, it could be meeting planners, it could be potential clients, certainly potential readers, it could be bloggers. And what you want to do with your press release, you want to, if you can, enlighten or teach. Even if you are a fiction author, you have got to provide value within the release. And I think the best way to do that is by solving problems. Tell a story, okay? What is the local angle to your book? If your book takes place in a specific community or a state, you can write a press release about that. Touch somebody's emotional hot buttons. I know, Judith, you're real big on this, touching people's emotions with your writing. Make readers happy, make them sad, or you can even make them angry. And when you make them angry, you're going to then tell them what you want them to do. Remember 5 words when you write the release. It's all about your readers, okay? It's not about you. If you're writing for press release for a book, I recommend that you explain, even if it's in one sentence, who your target market is. And you can say something like, if you like a cozy beach read on vacation, this book is perfect for you. Explain who your ideal reader is. And one way to do that is to do some research on who's reading and responding to your competitors' books. And you can do this over on Amazon. You can take a look at other books that are in your genre and other authors who have written books sort of similar to yours, and see what the responses are over on Amazon. What are the reviews? Are they on social media? What are the people on social media saying about them? I also think that it is a really good idea, if you are a nonfiction author, the best way to write a press release is to think about what the problem is and then provide the solution. And you can do that in a series of 7 tips on how to solve thus and such a problem. And Judith, I think I did a whole presentation, either was on your Caribbean cruise, was one on your author cruises, or for Author U, on these template headlines, these how-to headlines. If you see a snappy headline that somebody else has used, and it doesn't have to be book related, it can be on anything. And it could be something, I'll give you an example. What loopholes can teach your children about personal responsibility? Lou Holtz was the Notre Dame coach who died this week. You don't have to have a sports-oriented story. You can just fill in the blank with, whoever your person happens to be. It could be a character from your book. If you write fiction, that would work really well. And you want to also think your plot, talk about your plot, the conflict. Do you have an antagonist? You want to also plant seeds. Judith, you'll love this one. Plant seeds within your press release that are going to help you make money without coming right out and telling people, I want you to spend money on. For example, I'm a big proponent, huge proponent, in telling people in your press releases, in your bio, that you are available for last-minute interviews. Okay? The media panic when they've got an interview scheduled with somebody or a podcast or whatever, and that person comes out with the flu, whatever, and they've got to run around trying to find somebody to fill in. If you happen to be that person, let them know that you can fill in on a moment's notice. Also, let people know within your press release about bulk orders. Where can they go for bulk orders? Do you offer bulk orders? Let them know about your speaking and your consulting availability as well. And finally, tell readers exactly what you want them to do. Give them a call to action. Do you want them to click on a link and go over to Facebook and join your Facebook group? Do you want them to go to LinkedIn to connect with you? Do you want to send them over to YouTube to subscribe to your YouTube channel? What do you want to do? There's a lot of things that you can tell people to do. You have to tell them exactly what you want them to do. And if your press release doesn't have a call to action, you're really missing the boat. And Judith, this is something I learned from you at one of your sessions, your Author You sessions. Be sure in the press release, and I can't believe how many people don't do this. They don't list the ISBN number, they don't list the price of their book, and they don't tell people where to buy it.
You know, I'm going to do a tag on here, because one of the things that the lads at Google did as we crossed over into the new year was they are stipulating that if you don't have the price of your book, not just a link to go buy it at Amazon or Barnes and Noble or go to IndieBound, you know, in your bookstore tab on your website, you must have the stated price. And if you don't, you'll be ranked lower. A lot of people don't even realize that now. So you know, what Joan is saying is, so where do you put this ISBN? You know, if you're naming the title of your book, I would just have it right after the title of your book. I would include your ISBN and the price of the book. So it's all right there. Joan, do you have a preference?
I really don't care where it goes, quite frankly. Just get it in there. Get it in there. Just get it in there, because Judith, why is the ISBN important in press releases? Who might want that information?
Oh, a bookstore for sure. Yeah. And anyone looking up that to verify that it's available. It's your ISBN is your social security number for your book, everyone. Think of it that way.
Right.
And if your book doesn't have one, you're already discounted as to the quality of what the book is. I'll just say that too.
Exactly. I'm going to just pick up real briefly before we go on to the next tip. In my introduction that Judith used, and I learned this at Author You, use statistics in your introduction and in your bio. If you go back to my introduction, you may remember that I wrote 10 ebooks. I have created more than 150 information products, and I have trained more than 50,000 authors. When I learned that tip at Author You, I came back home and I kept my bio, but I just inserted those 3 statistics in it, because it really adds depth and breadth to your bio and to your introductions as well.
All right. And so one other thing for all of you who are going to use numbers, this is the time that we ignore Chicago Manual. Use the numbers. Like Joan has 50,000, 50, 00, 150, 150, 10, you know, use, because the numbers versus the words stick in the memory more. So my little ad there. Okay, so let's do the jump. You're gonna you introduced me to this word, and I think it's really an important one, especially with as the news circle changes, but the term newsjacking. So why don't we kiss on exactly what newsjacking is, why it's powerful for an author.
Okay.
But also some goodies to that.
What newsjacking is a word that was created, I don't know how long ago, maybe I'm guessing 15 years ago, by David Meerman Scott. David is a PR guy, and he invented the word newsjacking and then has just taken off with it. And a lot of his presentations, he's a speaker and an author, a lot of his presentations are on the topic of newsjacking. What newsjacking is you take a breaking news event that something is happening right now, and you jump onto it and you offer your own opinion or expertise or background as an author. Even though it doesn't directly involve you, you can use it. And I'll mention Lou Holtz again, the Notre Dame coach. He died this week, and his death was overshadowed by a lot of the other news on TV, the bombings in Iran and all of that. I only heard about his death once. I mean, he's a huge profile in not only the sports world, but in the world of leadership, teaching people how to take personal responsibility for their actions. And man, if you're a leadership coach and you've written books on leadership and you've written books that talk about sacrifice, the benefit of sacrificing and all of that, it would have been perfect to jump onto that story. Now, would you have gotten onto sports podcasts? Probably not, but there are a million other podcasters out there that probably would have loved to have had you on their shows. And that's just one example of newsjacking. And one of the things that David has said, and Judith, you shared this link with me yesterday when we were talking. One of the things he has talked about is that you don't want to get into politics or anything especially related to death and destruction. Try to stay away from that. If you're going to get into politics, you had better be an expert or an influencer in the topic of politics. Judith, talk a little about that.
I think that that's absolutely essential. The other topic I would say be careful of is sex and sin. And that's the same thing.
What is it?
Sex and sin. I think it's
sex
really
and sin.
Sex and sin. You're better off by politics, avoiding those things. And the whole deal on that is that if you can add to the story, that if your expertise or the theme of your book has relevancy to the story, by all means, tap onto it. But if you're just trying to coattail to do name recognition and it really isn't key point, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Right,
and not to go down that alley. And that's really what that's about. It's got to be important.
Yeah, if you're going after publicity, especially in big markets and big media markets, you better have experience interviewing. Because if you claim you're an expert in something and they throw a question at you that you're absolutely unprepared for, you don't want to sit there with your mouth open, stuttering and stammering. So get experience interviewing. I think podcasts are a great place to get experience on some of the podcasts that maybe only go to a niche audience. Don't go to a huge audience.
Okay. Yeah. And that's okay. And remember, if we just need to add this on for podcasting, make sure that you've got a call to action. Know how long your podcast is, that there's a call to action where you can guide people to or what you want them to do. Just as Joan was saying about the press release, what's the call to action in there?
Right. And the thing about newsjacking is that you have to do it really fast. You can't wait 2 or 3 weeks and then pick up something, because that's ancient history in the news business. If something happens, breaks today, it's ancient history 3 days from now. So you got to jump on it right away.
All right. So let me give you an example. I got my Costco magazine today. My membership magazine came in today, and I can't remember what page, but I'm in it this month. And one of my recipes from my Cooking with Judith book is in
how cool. How did you get that, Judith?
Joan, I pitched it. I asked for it. And
Costco magazine. Do you know what the circulation is?
15 million in the United States.
That is absolutely brilliant.
And next month it's in Canada, and there's another 3 million. So, but they pulled one of my recipes from my book on that, and I was looking, I said, I wish they had put it in this section. And I said, for God, get over that. It's in the book, it's in the magazine on it. And so I will, before the day's end, I will have a press release written around that with the cover of the Costco magazine.
Oh, Judith, I love it. How did you pitch it? How did you pitch it to them?
Oh, I tracked down who the president of Costco was. I mean,
the president?
I started with the president. Number one, I don't believe that you should try to rope something in or do something unless you try to do it with the decision maker. So I reached out. I am a long time member of Costco. Like when it was the Price Club 45 years ago, 50
Wow.
years ago. And Joan, what possessed me, I have the original Price Club card. I don't know why I still have it, but I have it. So I'm thinking about it. I've written this little cookbook and I mentioned Costco products in it several times. I'm a big fan of Costco. So I tracked down the president. I got his email and I spent a couple of hours working on this letter to him, including a picture of my original Price Club card.
Wow.
I led it with, I'm one of Costco's super fans, and I've been with you for almost 50 years. And in the old days, you used to feature sometimes some of your members, what they did. Well, I'd like to nominate me. I'd like to see if you'd feature me. I just did the ask right up. And I went on and I sent him the PDF of the cookbook and all that. He responded within 2 hours by email. Within 2 hours, Joan. And he said, you're right. We should be featuring some of our members and what they're doing again. Expect to hear from these two other people from my team within the next 2 days. And number one, I have now new names and new emails because they copied them in the letter. And I did, and that was on September 13th. All right, here we are now, March, so roughly 6 months. Let's talk about lead times for magazines because this is kind of a perfect example.
Yeah.
That he said we're gonna pull one of your recipes and we're gonna do this. Now they don't sell books like they used to at all, so they're not. I wish they were selling my little book, but they're not. But they do mention the title in the signature, and it says that her book's not available, but here's the title of it, and you people can go find it. So now I have to take advantage of that tagline and put it out, that this is where you'll find it, and then the link to Amazon. And also remind people that I'll be in several bookstores now, 5 bookstores, 6 bookstores in the next 2 months.
Wow.
We're in the Colorado area.
You mentioned something that I picked up on that I want to point out because other people may not have picked up on it. He said to you that Costco likes in the magazine to tell readers what other readers are doing. Okay, authors, pay attention to that. Costco sells sports equipment, they sell electronics, they sell food, healthy food that some of these healthy influencers, Bobby, I can't remember his name, is Bobby approved. Some of the products at Costco are Bobby approved. So there's health food there. They sell all kinds of stuff that you can tie in to whatever it is you're doing. I love that idea, Judith. That's brilliant.
No, and so you think, okay, how else can I take advantage of this? Now I've got friends, and it's a great cover. It's a very different. It's got it's orange cover, so I'm liking that. But now I need to find a few more so I can take them into bookstores. And that will become now part of my display. That we have them and open up, and it has and oh my God, paid me, Joan. This is the even better part.
They paid you?
Yes, ma'am.
Only you could have done this. I've looked at the Costco. I love Costco's magazine. And I've looked at some of these stories and articles, and a lot of them are written by Costco employees. And I wonder how people get in there.
Yeah. Well, you got to ask. All right. Yeah. So, and that's, as I've said, it starts with the ask and what's the benefit in doing it. And then they came back and they said, so we want to use the image, and so who is the photo credit? And I said, I am. And he says, okay, so we'll pay you X amount for the US image and X amount for the Canadian.
Oh,
it was like, oh my God, I would have paid you.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. That's great.
So, all right. So, the newsjacking. So I'm going to newsjack myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Newsjack yourself.
Newsjack yourself and let people do. But this is where you take pictures. I mean, this is where the cell phone works so well. You've got so much going on. doing that. But it was just a kind of a chancy, you know, uh, off the wall thing I decided to do. And I just did it. And it really started with a conversation I had myself. Well, Judith, you need to put, your money where your mouth at. You're always advising authors to do this, 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 and this. He says, why don't you do that for yourself? So I said, okay, I will. And Costco was the logical choice, because I think I told him it's mentioned 8 or 9 times in my little cookbook, different products I pull from them.
What you did, Judith, when you contacted him, you touched his emotional hot button with that 50-year-old card that you're carrying around.
Oh, I know, it's hilarious. Yep. Yep, I could prove. Well, of course, they can track you down wherever they can track everybody today.
Right,
but I just had that, and here's the other thing that was important. I made a suggestion of what they could do on it, because as saying, I'd like to be featured in your magazine. So,
love it.
Anyway, so time frame 6 months. It was from the time I sent that first letter to I knew it was going to be out, and they were fabulous in communicating with me, coming back and forth in samples, and does this read white? And they left out a couple of ingredients. We had to keep coming back and get it, but we got it.
Yeah. I wonder if Sam's Club has a magazine. I don't know. I'm not a member of Sam's Club. I'm a member of Costco. But think like other things. For example, AAA's travel magazine. Okay, I'm a member of AAA.
Huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Take a look at things you subscribe to. Go to a bookstore and peruse the magazine rack, and take a look at some of these even smaller publications that you might fit in, and ask how you can spin or take a topic that's related to your book and pitch an idea specifically for the readers of that publication.
Okay, so before we leave this point, we might as well just bring up, it's not on your 6 points that you wanted to cover, but the weeklies are your resource you should all start with, I'm going to tell you. They're looking for filler stuff all the time. They love to feature, it's local. Yes. Weeklies are local. They love to feature local. And I know one of my weeklies here just came back to me and he says, Judith, why don't you just do a regular column for us? And I think we're going to call it Briles Books and Bites. I'm going to, my little snarky stuff
and some of your recipes too.
And recipes, and then books I recommend.
Yes.
So
can I want to take that idea and I want to drop it down a notch and give you an example of one of your authors who did just that. She not only got into the weekly, she got into the weekly because she pitched the newsletter for her neighborhood association. Okay. Think even lower. And here she is at Tamara Grantham. Do you remember Tamara?
Yes, I do.
Tamara Grantham. I featured her when I did a presentation for you at Author U. Tamara wrote, I can't even remember what she wrote about. I think it was YA. That's what it was. She's a young adult author. And she wrote for her neighborhood newsletter. The Weekly saw it. They picked it up. Then she got into the Daily and up and up and up. And I was curious, just for the heck of it, I went on to Google to see if she's still around. Now she's got a zillion books that she's written. And that publicity just builds on itself. So don't think you have to get onto the front page of the Wall Street Journal to get good publicity. It's too much. You don't want to do that. It's just too hard. Start local, start really hyper local, and climb up that publicity ladder rung by rung.
All right. So my recommendation to all of you is find out what your locals are. You can look them up very, very quickly and find them, and just open up your eyes. And here's another deal. If you contact your retirement, the over 50 communities, they all have their internal local, just like what you were talking about with Tamara. They all have their internal stuff. You'll be amazed what can be added into it.
Right.
And do that. And you'll find that many times in their little reception areas, just get in your car and do a mosey tour, and you can pick up all the weeklies you want because they drop them all off in those places.
Right.
So, okay. Newsjacking. Let's go on to target marketing, Joan.
Target marketing. Oh, I did a whole presentation at Author U on how to find your target market. I hear when I would come to Author U and I'd be in the hallway over coffee talking to an author, I'd say, who's your book for? And I can't count the number of times I heard people say, I would like everybody to read my book.
I know. Or you get the deer in the headlight.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Exactly. And if you can't do that, I would certainly hope, Judith, and you work with writers when they write, I think an author ought to nail down the target market even before they write. Don't you agree?
Well, I think it's really important, especially if you're getting stuck on a scene, whether it's in your fiction or your nonfiction scenario, that you can put your laptop down and pretend that person is across from you and have a little chat.
Yes.
I've done that trick several times to get myself goosed up and going again.
Yes.
You know, what do you think? You know, it's like, you know, so you talk to yourself. Don't worry about it.
Right. So let's talk about how you identify the target market. There are many ways to do it. I would start with the demographics. Are they men? Are they women? Are they both? What is the typical age range of the people who would enjoy reading your book? And you might, if you've got a book for beginning moms on lactation or whatever, you're not going to appeal to men. You're not going to appeal to, there are a lot of people who it's not even going to count. So make sure you know exactly who you're writing for. Where do they live? What communities do they live in? What countries do they live in? What clubs do they belong to? What is their income level? That's real important. What jobs do they have? What industries do they work in? Why would that be important to know what industries they work in? Well, industries have industry magazines. And if you can tie your topic into an industry magazine and offer tips on how to solve a particular problem, that's great. You've really drilled down. Think about who is reading and reviewing comparable books. Go over, hate to keep mentioning Amazon. It seems to be the easiest way to get over there. Who are the people who are writing reviews for other authors' books that are in your genre, that are sort of similar to yours? Can you go then take their name and figure out where they are? Are they in a Facebook group someplace? Are they on X? Are they on LinkedIn? I love groups in social media. I'm on Facebook. I don't post to Facebook because if my friends care what I'm doing, they'll pick up and call me. But I am in a lot of Facebook groups, probably about 15 of them. I'm in Facebook groups for needlepoint, for growing dahlias, for cooking, for all kinds of things that interest me. And those Facebook groups can be great places, but you got to be real careful to read the rules of the group before you get in, because some of the group managers will not let you at all promote your books or yourself. What is the online behavior of the target market that you're trying to reach? I heard it said by somebody that you should know your target market so well that you should be able to write a page as they would write it in their journal if they journaled every day. What would a page in their journal look like? Think about that. Other people, I've seen it, other people have suggested that you take a little caricature of your ideal reader with a couple of bullet points underneath it and put it up on your bulletin board or right by your computer every day where you can see it so that you're targeting in on that specific reader with what it is that you have to say.
I love that. You know, here's what just flashed in my head. I'm going down to Costco with the magazine and I'm going to have someone take a picture of me in front of Costco, holding up the magazine. And now I'm going to go back to our point that will go in the press release.
Yes.
Colorado author featured in Costco's connection. Yes. Yeah. I'm working. My head's working.
I had an email the other day from somebody. She was a social worker and she worked with women who she was in prison for, I don't know, 10 years or something. And she works with women now who are in prison. And she wrote to me and she said, how do I get on The View? And I wrote, I can't believe the number of people who write to me who want to get onto The View. And I wrote to her and said, The View doesn't care about your topic. Let me tell you who does care about your topic. And I suggested that she go to a variety of, social worker publications. And I gave her a couple of ideas. And everybody just sort of wants to get on the biggest TV program that's out there. And The View doesn't do that. The majority of their guests are celebrities and movie stars.
Well, that also tells me that question that you got is they obviously haven't watched the show. Exactly. If you watch the show, it is celebrity driven or names. It's a name driven show. You've got the whether it's 4 or 6 hosts, with co-hosts, and there's always, one person, and it's always going back to the Newsjacking. What's the topic of the day?
Right. Yeah. And I get asked too, how do you pitch a TV program? Well, you usually pitch to, there's a booking person or an assistant producer or whoever. And how do you find that out? You can use Google. You can also, if they run what do they call them at the end? The credits. And they run them real fast. We'll record the show and then play them back and get the names of the people in those credits and then go online, see if they're on LinkedIn. And then I would just do a Google search, how to pitch, Jack Flabeats from whatever show. And you might find something there.
Yeah, they're also, if you go onto the name of the show and you ask for on the search, that they often have some of these that have audiences, for example, have a calendar of what shows they're trying to fill and look for. You can find out what topics they're after and then pitch inside of that.
Right.
So
know your target market and never stop asking when you go to speak to a group. Give them a questionnaire afterward and ask them to fill it out. And if they fill it out and give it back to you, you'll give them a special bonus chapter or a chapter that didn't make it into your book, maybe, because your book needed to be X number of pages. Think of giveaways like that. Always be asking your target market questions about what they do. Where do you go? How often do you eat out? Where do you work? What clubs do you belong to? What publications do you read? What do you watch on television? What podcasts do you listen to? What bloggers do you read?
Mm-hmm. All that's changed a lot. When I started podcasting, there was like 800 podcasts. It's 5 million now.
Oh, are there 5 million? Yeah, I'm not surprised everybody's got one. Yeah.
About 1 million active. About 1 million active that is like it's lived more than 3 weeks. It's
right.
But that. All right. So target market is essential, everybody. Who are you writing for? Why are you writing for them? And I think you need to ask yourself, what brings your expertise or your storytelling to the party that's the right fit? I think it's really important to know. And also I would want to know who buys for this market. Sometimes you may have a book for teenagers, but maybe they're not the buyer. It might be mom. It's really important to understand all of that. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite topics, book hooks.
Oh, book hooks. I love book hooks. I did a presentation at Author U on book hooks. And these are hooks that you can use for your book. And you can use a book hook in a pitch. You can use it in a press release. If you have a podcast, you can make it the title of one of the shows on your podcast. You can use it for all kinds of different things. I'll give you an example of a book hook. There's an author in Massachusetts. Her name is Marjorie Holman Turner. And she wrote a book called Easy Walks in Massachusetts. And these are
I remember that book. That book.
These are not for hikers, for 4-mile, 10-mile hikers. These are for people who maybe just want to get outside into the fresh air. Maybe people like over 50, maybe people with some, limited ability because of health issues. They just want to go to a park and walk around but they want an easy walk. They don't want to be climbing over rocks. So she wrote a book on this called Easy Walks in Massachusetts. And she partnered with, this is brilliant, a local business. And the local business was a bed and breakfast in Massachusetts that was near some of the parks that she wrote about. And she made a deal with them where she would sell them bulk books at a discount, and they would offer the books on the bedstands of people in the bed and breakfast. I think that's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I want to read what she wrote to me. I've just partnered with a local bed and breakfast in our area. They plan to offer a hiking weekend package, which will include copies of both of my books. I gave them a big break on the cost. They'll feature the books in their advertising as well. Listen to this, as well as in their Groupon offer.
Wow.
I earn a little from the direct sale to the bed and breakfast, and I expect a possible big benefit when they spread the word in their advertising on Groupon and elsewhere. It should help me reach many more readers. So think about local groups that you can partner with. And you don't have to be a nonfiction writer. You can use this with fiction as well. Joan,
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a location or a theme. I mean, the one author who really showed us how to do that well goes way back, and it was John Grisham's book, where he used the restaurants in New Orleans, and that he would mention the restaurants.
That's cool.
Yeah, some of them still have his book cover in their front window, tattered, ancient. He was a master at doing that.
That's great. Other book hooks, there's so many of them. Let's see, Joanna Penn, who many of you know. Joanna did a video tutorial on how to set up an author website. And that was a hook for her books. She writes books for authors on, I believe, on how to write. Correct, Judith? And she's very well known in
all kinds of things.
Yeah. And it ties directly into her books. Instead of saying, buy my book, she created this video series on how to set up an author website, which is something that every author is clamoring to know more about. Here's another good one. You can piggyback onto a major or minor holiday. Okay. Anybody can create their own holiday. Judith, do you have a holiday by chance?
I used to have it with my nonfiction books, when I was writing all the business related books. So I've kind of stepped away from that. I put up a holiday poster every day, whether it's potato chip day or toss out the fruit cake
that's
day.
Great.
Or
you moved on to bigger and better things. You're dealing with Costco now. You don't need your own holiday. But for those of you who like the idea, you just create your own holiday. You can call it whatever you want to, and then start to write it about it. And there's a directory. I think it's called the Directory of Holidays and Special Events. I don't know if they're publishing it anymore, but you can Google it and see if you can find it. And once you create your holiday, you want to create an event around the holiday, create publicity, and use that to try to get into the book so that when you pitch the book, you're not just some author who made up some cute holiday. Let me give you an idea of somebody who piggybacked. She doesn't have her own holiday, but she had got great publicity and exposure by piggybacking off of somebody else's holiday. I don't know if you know her, Judith. Her name is Kathleen Watson, and she wrote a book on grammar rules for people who hate rules. She lives in Wisconsin, I believe in Madison, and she went online and found that there's a National Grammar Day, which was created by somebody else. It wasn't her. But what she did was she took that day and she went into I think it was a Barnes & Noble in Madison, and did a book signing in the bookstore to tie into that day. And Barnes & Noble said, we love the idea. And she set up a table right in front of the store. She got out from behind the table. This is something I learned from you. Get out from behind your table and talk to people who are walking by. She also did another little simple thing to engage people walking into the store. She wrote a little quiz. How good is your grammar? Is your grammar better than a fifth grader's, whatever it was? And 5 little grammar questions. And she gave them little pencils, little slips of paper, and they went off to the side. They filled it out. They brought it back to her and she graded it. And then hopefully they bought books. I mean, so simple. And she didn't have to reinvent the wheel. She piggybacked off somebody else's holiday.
Well, I'm kind of goosey. Maybe I'm going to create an author success holiday. But I had one client, for example, it turns out there is no epic fantasy day. Or we created the epic fantasy week. And that's what he writes is epic fantasy. And we we created an event behind it then. And we did a special and we dropped down for he had 7 books in the series. For every day, we dropped the price of the book down to 99 cents. And then it went right back up to $21.95. And we did that for every day to push to do the push. And he sold a lot of books that way.
Wow. So, I don't want to lose this thought. So I'm going to just inject it on press releases. If you're writing a press release and you're mailing your book to somebody, put your press release, a copy of the printed press release inside your book.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I got books in the mail from people and I wanted to know more about the author. There was nothing in there on how to get in touch with them or anything. It drove me crazy. So those are just some book books. Think quizzes, think polls, think surveys, anything that ties into your book. A chapter that, I mentioned it before, never made it into your book for fiction authors.
So different little hooks.
Yes, steal other people's ideas. If you see a good idea that somebody else has done, do the same thing.
Morph it. Yeah, morph it.
Exactly.
Just go ahead and do it. Okay.
Here's another one. And I know that this is a controversial topic in the writing community, and that is AI. And no author wants to use AI to write their books. But there are some AI tools out there you can use that will help you organize. I have a friend who's writing a historical biography on a World War I, some guy, and she's got voluminous material, and she wants to figure out a way to input it all into an AI program called Claude. And what Claude does, it takes all the biographical information and it will just give it to you in chronological format so she can just keep it straight while she's writing her book. And there are other AI tools out there, but are there any AI tools you're using as an author to organize certainly not to write? Because AI written stuff, I can spot it a mile away.
Oh, okay, so let's just talk about that for just a minute. It's been a while. If you use AI to generate, if you're putting in prompts and stuff and asking AI to do this, you now have an AI generator. Your book is not copyrightable. Understand that. You've thrown out the copyright. The second thing is, what I would be very careful what you're dropping into Claude or whatever it is. You better have the privacy out there because it goes all your work goes into training for everyone else. Is that what you want? For me, it's not. David Baldacci, the very successful author, calls it AI slop. All he sees now is AI slop coming out. The bookstores hate these books that are being generated by AI, and they're all peeling it. I know, I don't know if you know C. Hope Clark. We've had her on, but she's fabulous. She wins funds for authors and writers, and the funds for writers, and she now will not take anything into the whole system if AI has been involved in the generation. Period. It's thrown out.
Interesting. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I needed a Word document that would be formatted like a booklet because I'm doing a 4-page program for a group that I'm in. We're having a conference, and I didn't know how to format it. And I Googled and I did all of this. I couldn't find anything. I felt like I'm never going to get this done. I went over to ChatGPT and I said, please create for me a 4-page booklet printed on 2 sides of 1 sheet of paper in landscape format. And I gave them the simple parameters. They spit it out within 15 seconds, the actual template. And now that so I downloaded it and it's in my computer, and now I'm adding the content. And then some page magically showed up in there. And so I went back to ChatGPT and I said, a page magically showed up in my template. Can't figure out how to get rid of it. What do I do? They spit out the directions on how to get rid of it within 3 seconds. So if there are ways that you're using AI for, even around in your office, whatever, it shouldn't be on how you write your book, but certainly to make your time more productive or whatever, I think that's a book hook.
No, I think so. It's not about how you develop your storyline. That's where you're going to get in trouble really fast.
Correct.
Really fast. Okay. We have, I know we're going to run out of time. We have like 8 minutes left. So we have a couple more things you want to hit on. One is email marketing.
Yes, email marketing. If there's one thing that I had to point to that was responsible for the success of my business, I've done a lot of coaching and mentoring with people, but if there was one thing, it would be my email newsletter, my weekly, every single Tuesday afternoon, a newsletter. And you guys, I know you're busy writing your books. You don't have to do a whole newsletter. Do an email tip of the week, an email, what's new with me type thing, of something you might want to know about. Just email them, keep it consistent, do it on the same day of the week at the same time, build your email list, give people value before you ask them to buy something. My email went actually from 1 week, I switched it to twice a week because I wanted to see if people were reading it on the weekends. My newsletter, Judith, you read it. It was a mile long and it was too long for some people. So what I did was I split it in half and I sent it out on 2 different days, Tuesday afternoon and Saturday morning. And I liked Saturday morning because they didn't have to go to work. They could read it over a cup of coffee in their pajamas. And I got a lot of feedback on the weekend. And email marketing is so valuable. And I don't know, Judith, do people use SurveyMonkey? Not SurveyMonkey. What's the email program that you can use for email?
Oh, there's so many of them. Whether it's the old Constant Contact, whether it's MailChimp, whether it's
MailChimp, that's the one I'm thinking of. I knew it had to do with the monkey. MailChimp or Aweber. I use Aweber. So there's some free ones you can use, paid, whatever. Just email. It's a great way for people to stay in touch with you. Great way.
Well, and the other thing is that you get it parked on let's go back to author website real quick. You get it parked on your website so you can drive people to get your newsletter. And I think, the reminder, Joan, that it was always loaded with a gazillion tips. And you had a formula for your newsletter. It was always loaded with a gazillion tips on it. And once in a while, there was an announcement that you had a workshop you were doing or you were going to be doing something. But it was always info driven on that. And I think that's where people get tired of, bye. No, you got to.
And the other thing I did every week, I had a hound joke of the week. It was always a dog joke that people loved. And the other thing, and my virtual assistant said to me, at one point, she said, your newsletter is all about publicity. Why don't you tell people a little bit about you? Tell them about your garden, what you're growing in your garden, your dahlias. Tell them about your needlepoint. Tell them about your dog. Show them a picture of your dog. So I did. And I called it This Week in the Hound House. And it was only about that big. It was tiny, a couple sentences. I got more feedback on that little This Week in the Hound House than I did about anything else in the newsletter because it showed people my personality. It touched their emotional hot buttons. It made them know more about what makes me tick. What do I like? So think about use email as a great publicity tool.
Yeah, I always end my deal with the smile of the week. My newsletter. My newsletter comes out on Wednesday, and I have a blog on Tuesday that is information only, packed tool. I have the information. Newsletter is on Wednesday. On Saturday, I have another mini blog that could be 4 lines. It's really something to chew on, like with the pajamas and your coffee, doing that kind of stuff. But I always end the newsletter with the smile of the week. And I think this week, or when I just wrote, I found an old clip of Robin Williams and Johnny Carson, which was hysterical. So I like to share stuff like that too. or sometimes it's just a song that's just really cool. You know, during my birthday week, it was a song "Stand by Me" for friendship, on that. So, I mean, you find something that fits for you. What we're trying to tell you, find what fits for you on that. So we have
Very
that.
cool.
All right.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about was repurposing content.
Oh,
That's
my
real
favorite.
important. And Judith just told you how she's going to repurpose her Costco
Yeah.
mention. There are all kinds of ways. You don't constantly have to be creating new content. Take an article and
No.
and I can think of 5 different ways that you can repurpose an article. You can turn it into a video on YouTube. You can chunk it up into 5 different tips in your article for Twitter or X or for whatever Facebook platform you happen to be on. You can turn it into an audio. And what are some other ways you can send out? Oh, here's one. How about sending out a postcard to your clients, letting them know about one of your tips?
I think
Keep
that's,
in
I
touch
love
with your clients
postcards.
via the old postcard trick. I mean, who sends out postcards anymore? Hardly anybody. But you don't have to open an
I
envelope.
do. I
Keeps
actually
you send
do.
out postcards. Good for you.
Yeah, I actually do because people keep them. And it works. Well, let me just say as we wrap up here, first of all, thank you, Joan, for being with us. And 2, repurposing. I start repurposing all my blogs after 2 years. I go and retitle. I go and rewriting the first paragraph. I realign the bullets if they're in there. I bring in something updated that might be current, but that once you've got something out there, even maybe once it's a year old, go in and look at it. There's no reason why you have to start from scratch every time. That's what the value of repurposing is. So, all right, everyone, we'll be with you next week. Joan, it went too fast. Went too
I know.
fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun. Get out there and promote and keep, you got to, it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall. You want to throw as much spaghetti against the wall as you can, and something eventually will stick.
Which I'm all for. All right, take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.